Good morning. I am your host, Claudia Shambaugh, welcoming you to the Ask a Leader October 29, 2013 edition of Ask a Leader. And listeners, ladies and gentlemen, young people, we are in the middle. We are on the second day of the fund drive. Here on board, we'll be having Professor and Chicana Studies Director Vicki Ruiz and UCI Dean of the Claire Trevor Brand School of the Arts, Joseph Lewis. He's got a whole lot of fine arts to cover, and Vicki Ruiz has a lot to say about what the program at the Chicano Latino Studies program is offering and her contributions to the Latino Americans Public Broadcasting Service and much, much more around there. We might even get to the Day of the Dead if we're lucky. So stay tuned. First, I want to say a few things about why it's important to celebrate and support your station. What we are doing here at KUCI is bringing you the things we love to do, love you to hear, love you to learn about, along with what we've selected. We've done the legwork. Now I'd like for you to do the finger work and dial 949-5824 or go to the KUCI.org website to pledge your support for the sounds, the views, and the perspectives, the earnest and the irreverent content that we bring you day in and day out 24/7. We've got premiums for every level of giving, including, which I cherish most, is an opportunity to let you co-host with me. We're going to be back in just a few moments, just seconds, with Vicki Ruiz with just this brief station break. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for staying with us. Welcome back to the show. My first guest today is Professor Vicki Ruiz, Chicana Latino Studies Chair and History Professor, studying and telling, I might say, the historical accounts of Latino women as they fought for civil and labor rights. She is credited with helping to establish the field of Chicano Latino history with her research on Mexican-American women in the United States Southwest. She specializes in Chicano studies, oral narratives, gender studies, labor immigration, and in the California and American West. She co-edited Latinas in the United States, a historical encyclopedia, the first comprehensive gathering of scholarship on Latinas, and was named a 2007 Best in Reference book by the New York Public Library and an outstanding title by the American Association of University Presses. Vicki Ruiz, active involvement on many boards, I'm not going to name them all, we don't have the time today, and associations, makes her the very robust mentor for students and up-and-coming academics. I know because her collaborations and connections yield new opportunities to our community on all things Latino. She completed her PhD at Stanford University, and along the way with illustrious teaching posts, she joined UCI in 2001 and was Dean of Humanities from 2008 till 2012. Welcome to Ask a Leader, Vicki Ruiz.
Thank you. Well, that's quite an introduction. Actually, I'm chair of Chicano Latino Studies. We have been an academic department for the past 5 years.
Okay. Well, congratulations
Thank you.
Your being named Distinguished Professor of Chicano Latino Studies and History after you're just being elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences last year. Well done. Well, let's talk about who Latinos are, from where do they come, and why do their stories matter? The big enchilada of the story.
Oh, well, I think, we have to look at, there's never been a period of time in the United States, or what would become the United States, when Spanish-speaking peoples actually agreed on a name in which on a common identification. In Texas, you had Tejanos.
Sí.
In Nuevo Mexico, you had Hispanos. In California, Californios. So this whole debate over nomenclature, certainly something that's not new. Latinos are the term, generally, Mexicano means someone who has been born in Mexico. Mexican-American signifies U.S. birth. The term Chicano comes from a political consciousness born of the student movement in the 1960s, where student activists took a pejorative term in the Mexican-American community, Chicano, and they transformed it into this symbol of ethnic pride. And it's a term in which you will see sort of that continues to resonate in more popular than California than in other parts of the Southwest, but you see it certainly in the Chicano Latino Studies programs that one would find actually now across the country. The term Latino basically refers to anyone of Latin American birth or heritage. It's often used as an umbrella term, but seen as a more politicized term than the term Hispanic. And some people prefer, as I say, the regional identification like Tejano. Others prefer sort of more of a cultural identification or culture-specific definite identification, a national perspective such as Cubano, Puerto Riqueño. So, as I said, there are a lot of terms out there. Some prefer an Iberian connection with the term Hispanic, while others prefer more of a nod to indigenous roots in terms of calling themselves mestizos or mestizas. So there is, as I said, a lot of variations in terms of nomenclature, but I do think that there is a growing sort of, I think, an awareness among Latinos across the country of commonalities as well as very real differences.
Well, I think we've seen the commonalities in the electoral process because driving that big train is how immigration policy. So for those that are foreign-born, that there is that massive coalition coalescing there. Well, let's talk then about the program. There's many opportunities. An example of the rich opportunities in this curriculum, I just want to mention to get us started, is what the late Jeffrey Garcilaso offered, in whose name an award is given for the best research paper. His work addressed the unsung heroes amongst Latino laborers. That's a big one.
Oh, Jeff was an amazing historical presence. I first met him when he was a graduate student.
Wow. There you go, the mentoring.
In 1990, actually, I was assigned as his mentor at a workshop that is actually sponsored by the Tomas Rivera Center that was then at Claremont and it's now at USC and UC Riverside, and was struck then by the originality of research, the depth of archival work. He finished the dissertation, taught at the University of Utah for several years, and came to UC Irvine. Unfortunately, his untimely death in 2001, I think, really robbed our students and certainly robbed history, historians of his presence and his incredible razor-sharp intellect with a lot of corazón. His book, I was very fortunate to write the foreword. His book has come out, Traqueros, on Mexican railroad workers in the United States. Many people are not aware that at the turn of the century, Mexicans were the largest sort of ethnic group working on the rails, laying track, repairing rails in the country. And you see sort of ideas of rail towns. Colton, for example, was a rail town. The large migration of Latinos in the Midwest between 1910 and 1930 was the result of these rail communities and what Jeff Garcilaso called the boxcar barrios.
Well, we can talk a little bit more about things Latino and the contributions as we talk about your participation, involvement in the Public Broadcasting Service series. I would like to continue just a little bit within the program of this. There are so many opportunities, folks. There's the residential opportunities at the Casa Cesar Chavez. There's fellowships. There's career opportunities. I don't know if there's any one other nugget you could like to address while we're talking about the actual program here at UCI.
Well, we have amazing young scholars. We're a faculty of 9.
Yes.
And we have, I would like to say that not only do we have very strong senior scholars like Alejandro Morales and his book, The Brick People, about Simon's Brickyard, and
Wow.
the Mexican company Town, and now documentary, which is a wonderful documentary on the Brick people. We have Gilbert Gonzalez, certainly one of the premier historians of Mexican-American labor in California, and he is also, he's Professor Emeritus, but has produced a terrific documentary, award-winning documentary, Harvest of Loneliness. Raul Fernandez, who is curated the Smithsonian Institution's Latin jazz programming a few years ago, and Louis DeCipio.
Yes.
Who is probably, one of the most quoted experts on Latino political participation and voting behavior, and we have an array of terrific junior people. Ana Rosas, whose book will be out in a few months, on the women and children left behind during the Bracero program. Anita Casavantes Bradford, who is works on Cuban Americans as well as Cubanos and conceptions of childhood. She's our latest hire. Belinda Campos, who looks at positive emotions and emotions in personal relationships and the value of Latino familialism. She's a social psychologist from Berkeley. So we have just amazing Glenda Flores, who was an alum of Chicano Latino Studies about 10 years ago. She was actually a student in my class. She is now my colleague, PhD from USC, who works on her book that she's working on is called Maestras in the City of Angels, about Latina teachers, and a contemporary sociological study of Latina elementary school teachers that is absolutely fascinating. So we have, as I said, a number of terrific scholars. Michael Montoya, terrific anthropologist who does a lot of work in the community and whose work on diabetes is considered groundbreaking in the Mexican community, and Cynthia Feliciano, who works on race and minority relations and works on issues of immigration and education.
And you haven't even had a chance to get to the mainstay, Leo Chavez, who's done so many wonderful things.
Leo's
I've had Leo on.
Faculty, and he is an absolutely Leo Chavez, Manuel Gomez, Cesar Ceres, Raul Fernandez, and Gil Gonzalez really, when it was a program, really kept it alive and has been able to build out
yes.
to the robust department we are today. And we're very excited that we're making because not only are we have these core faculty, but we have affiliates
yes,
in
all
sociology, Rumben Rambao, in social ecology, Maria Rendon and her work with Latino youth. And so there's a real Rodrigo Lazo who works on particularly Latino literature. So there's a real core of terrific faculty, and of course Rudy Torres, who's our political theorist.
Yes, that's right. Well, for those of you who've joined us, we're listening to Professor Vicky Ruiz, the Chicana Latino Studies Chair and History Professor here at UCI. It's Pledge Drive Week, folks. Where are you going to hear? Well, there's a few national public radio affiliates that you can hear Vicky Ruiz, but you get to hear her with all of our earnest questions about what's going on politically, culturally, academically with Chicano movements right here on KUCI. And I'm encouraging everybody, we've got someone out in our lobby to take your call at area code 949-824-5824 to pledge your funds to keep these bright, interesting, vibrant, leading-edge developments in academia, in community living here on Radio KUCI. It's 88.9 FM in Irvine, streaming live in all the familias and the casas and the cultural centers all over the world on KUCI.org. So we're talking about the whole the studies program at KUCI. It's nothing but all stars and new stars there. And I'd like to say a bit with what time we have remaining about those contributions you made, Vicky Ruiz, at the Public Broadcasting Service, PBS is fondly referred to as, the series called Latino Americans. You were the bright presence in giving that kind of elegant essence of unknown, misunderstood kinds of developments in our history where the Latinos are sort of shoved out of the picture in recurrent waves as the Anglo exceptionalism attempted to and succeeded in wiping out the Chicano Latino influences. What was it like to contribute to that production? Were you seeing that it needed some a different sort of intellectual tweaking to get some of the important takeaway messages incorporated into the production?
Well, I had worked on the script treatment. I was one of the consultants who gave them comments on the script treatment, and then gave them and then on a subsequent draft. After that, I had not heard from the production team until winter of 2012, and was interviewed in March. They were coming. The team was coming out in 2012. So I was interviewed in March 2012. And what you saw on the series was edited version of about 4 hours of being interviewed in a doorway in San Juan Capistrano.
Well,
and it was actually very cold, and they would stop taping, and they were very nice, and sort of wrapped me in blankets. And but it was terrific in that they had done their homework. So they asked questions that would allow me to expand on ideas. And scholars, we like to expand on our ideas, and we're not very good at the soundbite. And
you did fine.
And they were very, very gracious about letting me sort of run with ideas. And one of the things that, in terms of what I've done, is about the importance that Latino history matters, that if you look at events from the perspective of Latinos, it provides a additional nuance to understanding U.S. history. Often, for example, when you teach the U.S.-Mexican War, it's the idea that U.S.-Mexican War is taught with the idea that it opens up, again, the issues of slavery. And it's what's been called the fire bell in the night, or the Pandora's box. And it is sort of what begins sort of the long, torturous march in the 1850s to the Civil War. But what is not really addressed is the impact of the war on the 75 to 80,000 Mexican citizen colonists who called the Southwest home. And also the fact that Mexico lost half of its territory. And
yes.
That loss would have certainly political and economic repercussions,
right,
for generations to come.
So it's phenomenal, and I there are pieces I'd never heard of before, and I try to tap into general histories and sources so I can be reasonably literate, but I felt much more literate with it. Was still a magazine piece. There's a lot more that the production could have covered. They were trying to do everything they could in 6 hours. And so I'm the part with Jose Marti, who is sort of the Alexis de Tocqueville of Cubans, to observe what's going on in this democratic project on the northern side of the rapidly changing Mexican-American border. So it really taught me so much, and it's still available. There's ways to get with the PBS or get it online to watch that. And so, but I just want to give you a chance. I know you've got to teach. You've got to give a midterm in less than 1 minute. So I don't know if there's if there's any. Well, let's just say it was a wonderful production. I hope everybody gets a chance to look at it. And I want to just give you a chance to say what the Day of the Dead means as you hang up on me and head for that midterm.
Yeah. Oh, the Day of the Dead has generally been a religious holiday, in a sense, in Mexico, in which one goes to. It's a time where you spend the day cleaning the gravesite. You bring your loved one's favorite food and drink, and you pray, and so it's a time to get together and as a family and share stories and memories. Now it has become, certainly in the United States, it has become this incredible sort of part of a burgeoning Chicano arts renaissance, and people are taking, and it's catching on with the type of altares, and it becomes very much a public display. If you go to Santa Ana, I believe it's this Saturday, they're having on 4th Street. They close it off, and families and organizations create altares. And what is wonderful is that you can see individual families honoring a loved one, but you also see local organizations like the Girl Scouts had an altare to famous women, and I thought it's a very inclusive celebration.
It's all moods in one, isn't it? As I send you on your way, I know that we're painfully past now the window of that you availed us of your time today, Vicki Ruiz. I want to thank you so much for being on. We could have taken up a whole hour on no, actually, we could take 6 hours on what's going on. But everybody got to see how you presented yourself. You are the mentor. You are the band leader in institutionalizing programs and maintaining them and invigorating them. So Vicki Ruiz, chair of the UCI Chicana Latinas History program at UCI, thank you so much for being on the show.
Okay. Thank you, Claudia.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Thank you. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get ready. Professor and Dean of the UCI Claire Trevor Bren School of the Arts will just take a break. And while we do that, we've got a special message about the pledge drive. Everybody, thank you for staying tuned. We're going to have Dean Joseph Lewis up shortly, but first I want to tell you how important it is that you offer whatever support you can on whatever level, because here at the Pledge Drive, where you can dial KUCI 88.9 FM, you can dial that on your radio, but you can dial 949-824-5824. Dial up your computer at kuci.org to give us a pledge. You can start out with a license plate frame. You can work your way up to some stickers, some T-shirts, some beautiful premiums of local businesses. We've got live show tickets. We've got lots of lovely CDs. Some of them are brand new. Some of them are classics, but mostly we've got lots of brand new ones you can't get anywhere else. And then we've got what I prefer to really offer you. For $100, you can co-host Ask a Leader. You can bring a guest of your selection. I'll help you. You can select the music. You put together the questions. I'll assist you in that, and you can be host for an hour. I'd love for you to do that. That's for $100, 949-824-5824. And let me tell you, folks, $600, that's what's going to cost to get the new telephone line ready, the switchboard, so that I don't have any more dumped calls from people calling in from Pennsylvania, from D.C., from San Diego. We want this switchboard to work for you so you get all the voices, as much time as we can put in our public affairs shows. $600 would get us that. So meanwhile, I'm not even going to round up how many years, if we had our 6 computers here at the station, the total number of years old that they are, but I sincerely expect that it would bring us to past the 3 digits. So you can help us out. Any pledge is desired, but you've got to call 949-824-5824. We're going to have a wee bit of break, and we've got with us in Studio A with me this morning, Dean of the School of the Arts, Joseph Lewis. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, that was another tune that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else. That was Omar Torres. It's a Night of Serious Drinking album, and that was the dance of Leon and Frida, and we know who those guys are. So right now, welcome back to Ask a Leader, and with me in Studio A is my next guest, that is the School of the Arts Dean Joseph Lewis, not to be confused with any other famous Joe Lewises, with so much to say about this year's delectable fine arts offerings. He's a critic, writer, scholar, an nationally respected visual and performing artist, previously serving as Dean of Art at Alfred University, New York, Dean of the School of Art and Design at Fashion Institute in New York City, and Chair of the Art Department at Cal State University Northridge while he was Administrator of Public Art Projects for the Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs. For any one of you poised to complete some important application forms, Mr. Lewis is your model. He's filled out those same applications and has been awarded fellowships from the National Endowment of the Arts, Ford Foundation, and the Thomas J. Watson. You know that guy from IBM. Mr. Lewis received his Bachelor of Arts in Art from Hamilton College, New York, and his Master's of Fine Arts at the Maryland Institute College of the Arts. He joins me, as I said earlier, today in Studio A. Welcome to the show, Dean Lewis.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here today with us. One reason we had you on today is to herald the beginning of another wonderful world of fine arts, the wonderful calendar here at UCI with dance, drama, music. I have to say that 3 times because of all the kinds of music you can hear, and graphic art. And then, of course, there's the Beale Center. There's no better place to take in such an amazing talent at a price I think anyone can afford. So I don't know, Dean Lewis, where would you like to jump in with a bustling schedule that's already begun with presentations appealing to any and to all ages?
Well, you've said it all. I don't know what else there is to say.
No, you can, no, barely.
Just kidding. Anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks for listening. I just want to say that I'm very pleased to be here. It's always wonderful to get a chance to talk to our community and tell them what's happening. So November is Arts Month at the Claire Trevor School of the Arts. On November 2nd, we have the Beale Center Family Day. It's a great opportunity to bring your kids to do things, everything from rocketry to robotics to 3D printing, lots of kind of science and optical presentations and workshops. On the 2nd also, we have the Faculty Artist Series featuring Alan Turciano and guest artist Andre Gubeau. And
that's at 8 o'clock at the Winfred Smith Hall,
8 o'clock
right around the
Smith
corner.
Hall. That's correct. November 7th, big time, open house. So we're going to have our whole arts campus, which is right across the Humanities Bridge, open. There's going to be, everything is going to be active. It's kind of a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to put on these performances. So you'll see rehearsals for dance, for musicals, for drama. You'll see the open studios for MFA students, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be food. And that is from
5:30, goes to 8 o'clock.
5:30 to 8 o'clock.
It's quite a gathering. It's a come together. It's the front door to the background of the program.
Absolutely. And then our first musical of the season, Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. That will be at the Claire Trevor Theater beginning November 9th, 10th, and the 14th through the 17th. It's a musical that kind of reconfigures our imagination about the 7th President of the United States and his challenges and his challenges.
Okay. Right. And that typically is the big brouhaha, the full-on musical that's heralded annually. One year it's West Side Story. It's all kinds of amazing productions there. So that's what's in store right around 2 corners from us, where we are.
That's correct, and it's coming up soon. On the 9th, the UCI Symphony is playing at the Barclay Theater, conductor Stephen Tucker, and the program will be a suite for orchestra and a little suite for strings by Anton Bruckner, Symphony Number 6. And for those of you who have not seen the symphony, I really encourage you to come because it
levitates the mind and brain.
It levitates the mind and brain, but it's also a collection of our students and community members.
Yes.
Christmas Carol starts early in November, the 23rd of November through December 1st by Charles Dickens.
Before Thanksgiving. Okay.
Right before Thanksgiving.
Get the rhythm going here.
Right. So that's kind of Arts Month. There's always noon concerts. There are exhibitions in our galleries. There's always something going on. We have a nice coffee shop. So you should just come over anytime you want, and you can stumble into a lot of stuff.
Right. Oh, for all ages, folks. And there's dance has already started happening, but there's 4 different dance showcases around the year. So I noticed that the dance ones, those tend to sell out early.
That's correct.
So that for those of you who go in for dance, now's the time to line up. Now, actually, I recommend, and I know this is, this is not a call to action, folks. I'm not screwing up with the MSCC requirements, but I do recommend that you take out your brochure, go online at the UCI. I've got the website in front of me at arts.uci.edu. And there you can, there's a duo there, you can go and look at the whole program, and I recommend going there or calling the box office. We're inestimably managed by David Walker, 824-2787. You can just get the tickets for the whole year. Just line it up.
Speaking about dance, you'll be able to catch some of the later rehearsals for a new slate on the open house night.
Oh, good. It's the tapas of the, not topless, it's the tapas of the School of the Arts offerings where you can see. And so the new slate sells just like all the others. It sells out really fast.
That's correct. A new slate are pieces choreographed by our graduate dance students.
And I've seen those year in and year on and over and over, and it is a marvel. It's such a savory taste. Yes.
So there are a couple of changes we have this year.
Okay.
And one of them is that we've partnered with a couple of local restaurants. We've partnered with Bistango and Koba Tofu Grill. And if you show a copy of your ticket, you'll get a free dessert.
Oh, good.
If you have dinner there. So
okay.
That's one thing. And then we've also, last year we did a market research survey, and we've listened to you. So we bought a 8-seat electric cart, and you can call ahead of time, and if you need cart service from the parking garage to the theater, we can provide that for you now.
Call ahead, and that's the box office?
Box office, that's correct.
949-824-2787. That's very important because I know some of my elder pals have had difficulty navigating to these not as accessible as other venues are, and it's so important that everybody gets to hook up to the tonic, the best tonic there is throughout the campus of these live performances. So that's very important to make that call, or I guess they could have somebody book it online too.
That's correct. Yeah.
At the arts.uci.edu. Well, for those of you who
/tickets.
That's the /tickets. There's some other backslashes for some other things we'll talk about. But for those of you who've joined us, my guest is UCI School of the Arts Dean Joseph Lewis on Ask a Leader at KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, streaming live in art studios, practice rooms, though worldwide on KUCI.org. We are having a pledge drive. It is the second of the fall fund drive, folks, and I'm urging you to call area code 949-824-5824 or 949-UCI KUCI. Make it easy for you. And you can get for any number of premiums. Starting at $20, you can get that license plate frame, but you can also start at $35. We've got T-shirts with that premium pledge, and you can work up to $100, and you can be with me in the studio, and you can say, I want somebody of the caliber of Dean Joseph Lewis. I want that guest, and I want to be the co-host, Claudia, of your Ask a Leader. Ask Another Leader, we'll call that co-hosted program, and you can pick out the music, and we've got music today that the good Dean has brought in from, and I have other CDs from the School of the Arts that we're going to be hearing. So I'm going to throw one curveball as I lob some easy ones too. Would you say that one of the goals of the School of the Arts, Dean Lewis, is to build the next generation's patron of the arts as well?
That's correct. And to that end, we have our Creative Connections program, which is a outreach program. We go into schools and provide services for students K-12. And, by approaching those K-12 students and giving them an experience in the arts, hopefully that will encourage them as they grow older to continue their exploration of it, as well as their parents. When we talk about audience development, when you approach the kids, the parents also are exposed to these things. And that's another area that we're trying to reach out to get to the parents, get to the 20, 30-year-old folks who will become the next patrons. of the arts.
Because the performance is one side and the patrons the other. If without the patrons, the performers aren't sustained and maintained and celebrated. So I just wanted to bring that up because I worry as I see more and more venues in the professional arenas where the audiences are slimming down right now in this economic downturn we're still in. So it's important for me. All of us benefit with the patronage expanding. So that's a goal. Therefore,
that's correct. And just to give you an idea, ticket sales represent about 10 to 12% of the actual annual cost of our productions.
Wow, that's a hair.
So, you could sell out the house and you can go and see a sold out house, but that does not necessarily mean that the house is generating the revenues to produce those performances. And that's anywhere. That's not just here. That if you go to Segerstrom, any of those centers, ticket sales only represent a small portion of the actual production costs.
That's a phenomenal statistic that I don't think we're all aware of. So, and then by supporting then our own venues here with so many, as we talked about, with the drama, the dance, the music, all that. And I'm remembering now theater. I was told by Jane Page, one of your faculty, that theater is the more expansive reference. Drama is a part of it, but theater picks up everything. So she schooled me on that. Because drama is only part of it. Comedy and is not included in that, and other parts of the presentation. So there's sort of an old school and sort of the general school of how that's caged there. So, but in supporting the enterprise here is the Arts Pass, the FAST, that's the Faculty Staff Arts Pass. The students already have the Arts Pass institutionalized, but can you tell us a little bit about how you make it easier, even more affordable for patrons of these fine arts here?
Yeah, the Arts Pass is an opportunity for faculty and staff to purchase a set of performances at a discount. So you can buy 10 performances or 5 performances or 15 performances and then use that pass throughout the year.
It's wonderful. And that's also available with the arts.uci.edu/pass, I think it is. So, or Arts Pass. You'll find it there, up there.
Right.
So then...
It's on the land page of the website.
Okay, fine. And you mentioned the venue on 2 Thursdays from now, the November 7th, at UCI's Contemporary Arts Center. I want to mention that's 4000 Mesa Road for anybody who wants to map it on their GPS systems and that kind of thing, so you know how to get there exactly on there, on the campus. And it's free, everybody. I don't know if we already mentioned that, and it's open to everybody. So it's a good way to get your salivating for the whole year of wonderful performances.
And you were just talking about performances
Absolutely.
in theater. So we have... during the summers, we've had the New Swan Shakespeare Festival, which has been going very well.
Selling it out.
And next year we have Twelfth Night and Romeo and Juliet, dates to be determined. And also we're doing one of Ngugi's plays. He is a distinguished professor of comparative literature here on campus. It's called The Trial of Dedan Kimathi, and it is in partnership with the law school and humanities, and it's going to be a huge, huge event. As you know, he just won the medal. He was just awarded the UCI medal.
Yes.
And he's always on the list
for the Nobel
Prize.
I've put him on there years ago, and it's just the right year. Everything planets line up, and it's his for that, for the taking. So that will be a part of. Then it'll be the third of the 3 plays offered in the summer.
New Swan will be offered in the summer.
Right.
Ngugi's play will be offered in March.
Oh, in March in the Claire Trevor Bren Theater, then probably the larger of the venues there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful, and it's in the program among others. And I just want the cover of the brochure. If you're lucky enough to pick one up, they're available at the box office at KUCI. The cover shows us what previously has been presented with the Sakura project, and just for those of you who are just as curious as I, it's such an androgynous figure. Is that a man or is that a woman?
That's a woman.
Wow.
And the Sakura project was performed in the XMPL, which, by the way, is where Ngugi's play will be. It won't be in the Claire. But it was also performed in the Samueli Theater at Segerstrom, where the School of the Arts partnered with the Pacific Symphony.
Yes.
Last year, and it was a fabulous rave reviews for the dancers who danced with the symphony in the large hall. And then after that performance, which was the celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Rite of Spring, people went around to and back to the Samueli, where the faculty put on one of their plays, Sakra, which was a collaboration with a number of choreographers and
dancers and
musicians.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
We did cover that the week prior, and I'm so glad to have your faculty on here to talk about that and the all over. And it was a huge collaboration. I think it just kept expanding. And those collaborations, we can witness that those expanding sorts of end products here with many and on all of the projects here. And what I've noticed too, we can watch the trends in performance artistry with how musicians incorporate new elements to their presentations. We're seeing the laptops move into the chamber music setting, and we're watching how Mike Desson is putting his laptop up alongside of his trombone, and Alan Teresiano is playing his plants along with his piano. It's amazing to see what trends are underway, and I just love learning from the music theorists who you will find when you're attending these, there are all kinds of faculty in the audience watching their colleagues, and those faculty are, for me, the kind of mind candy, the petting zoo to find out what's going on throughout the Claire Trevor Brand School of the Arts.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add that
please.
The school has been working with a lot of the other schools. For example, we had Jonathan Feinberg here, who is a distinguished professor and emeritus at Champaign-Urbana, who did a 4-part lecture series called The Language of Enigmatic Object, Modern Art and the Border of Mind and Brain, where we collaborated with the medical school and humanities. And he was here for 2 weeks, and he met with students and faculty in all those schools, and he did his 4 lectures. Another thing I just want to mention is that we have 3 shows up right now that'll be up through the end of November. The Symbolic Landscape Pictures Beyond the Picturesque in the Contemporary Arts Center Gallery, Sight and Sound, which is a really fabulous exhibition in the Beale Center, artists who use image and sound and mix those things in very unusual ways. And then we have a Twice-Lived Fragment of Time, which is a solo exhibition by Will Rogan in the Projects Room, which is in across from the Contemporary Arts Center. So those will be up through November 27th.
That I'm breathless. I'm just breathless, and we are lucky to have Dean Lewis bring in a recording. It's produced by him and John. I'm not sure I can say it. Chiudini. We're going to play a little bit of a track. We'll just start right now, and you can voice over that with some observations of yours. This track is called "Open Mind" on the Black Bungalows recording. Well, Dean Lewis, what would you like to say about that?
It's going to come up. I think it says it all.
Okay, we'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
We'll give it another minute or so.
John Chiudini is a studio musician who's played in Natalie Cole's big band. Is very lucky to have an opportunity to play with him for this project. We've done 10 songs, all of which are mine.
It's beautiful. Open Mind. Let's hear a little bit more.
Baby da 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 be da, baby da da, baby da da, baby da da. Open minds. And the trouble they bring. Open mind. the trouble it brings.
That was More Than Precious. Oh, that was beautiful. I'm so glad. I'm going to let that be a little bit of the bed as we close out this wonderful segment on what's going on at the UCI Claire Trevor Bren School of the Arts. That was Claire Trevor Bren. She was the second wife of Donald Bren's dad, and Donald Bren pays tribute to her with naming that whole school. He did that about 9 or 10 years ago, something like that.
It's about 12 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so there are special commemorations. I guess it was a 100th year birthday of hers last year, and there were all kinds of films that were presented around the school, and there may be other kinds of celebrations of her, his patronage.
We use her birthday as a way to celebrate her and to celebrate the school, and we have a star event. We started with at her 100th birthday. We put a 2-foot in diameter bronze star in front of our new Contemporary Arts Center. And the Claire Trevor Star is our it's our Oscar. It's our, top award to someone who has, kind of done great things in the arts and or for the school. Our second recipient was Donald McHale, the premier African American dancer who is still on our faculty. And this coming March, we'll be celebrating Don and Joan Beal for their philanthropy in Orange County, in particular the Beal Center, but also for the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, their relationship with the Orange County Museum, the Wooden Floor, Segerstrom Center. And we've been so lucky and blessed to have them actually, kind of have us be one of the recipients of their largesse over the past 12 years.
It's a win-win, though. They need UCI, and UCI could certainly use their help. So those kind of collaborations are tremendous yields. They wouldn't get the kind of local, fertile kinds of collaborations and thinking without UCI's School of the Arts providing there. So I'm going to put Dean Lewis on the spot. Can we put 3 Black Bungalows on as one of our premiums for the fund drive?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then for $50, the 3 Black Bungalows and the T-shirt and other premiums, you pledge us the $50 at 824-5824-949 UCI KUCI. You can get this.
Let me just also say,
yes,
I have
please.
it on vinyl as well. So if you have a record player, I have a 12-inch, 33 1/3 vinyl of 3 Black Bungalows album, or a CD.
Okay, well, the vinyl, I'll deliver the vinyl because I don't want to entrust any postal service or UPS it. But there you have it. You got one or the other, folks, and that is a KUCI first of one or the other. The vinyl is hard to get a hold of. Recording studios now, productions are now they're less inclined to send actual CDs. So the CDs are becoming an extinct item.
Yeah,
but
CDs.
you've got a vinyl as an offering too. So KUCI, that's 949 UCI KUCI or 824-5824 to dial in the pledge to walk away with this sound.
How much time do we have left?
We have about 3 minutes, and I need to do some more pledge.
Okay, so I will match every dollar that calls in the next 3 minutes.
Okay, no, we've got 5 minutes.
5 minutes
left.
up to $100.
All right. So I'm
Dollar for dollar.
Thank you, Dean Lewis, for offering such a generous pledge here for KUCI listeners. I know some of you might be listening up there in the LAX area. Some of you are listening. You're getting the vibe of the pickup in the Newport Beach area around that upper Newport Bay. I know some of you are listening right now. Some of you are listening at University Hills. Some of you are listening at some office space up there in Santa Ana, and some of you better not be texting and listening and streaming this in your classrooms at Uni High. But you've all been on the show. When you hear this podcast, you know who you are. So, and after hearing the podcast, you can certainly send in a pledge too. I'm not remiss. Be remiss in taking up that opportunity. Well, so 3 Black Bungalows, Dean Lewis, and behind the scenes and the front door is all happening here on KUCI. Well, I don't know if you have any more closing remarks to say about what we've talked about, what's around the corner. This next weekend is absolutely loaded. They're all vying for your attention, and the affordable outlay of cash to get into those live performances, and there's spaces available. I know there's tickets left for Alan Teresiano and this guest artist Andre Gibrou, and I'm going to get one of the Gogi Wathiango's one of those tickets. I just can't wait. He is a preeminent writer internationally, and so to see what's coming together, he's one of the best storytellers any of us are ever going to be in contact with. And what more does he do? He tells us how we can tell our stories.
That's
I remember
correct,
his
yes.
advice there is, when you tell a story, you always got to add one more thing to it from the story that was given to you. So these musicians and these thespians, they're adding one more to the play that they were given the script to learn how to present. So, and we've had chances to bring on the new the radio play that was the plays that were put on last year. There's always something new around this corner, and with the collaborations of all of the performing arts disciplines and then all the other schools around it, as you said, Dean Lewis, about the humanities. Well, I know you need to go back to your office. You've given us so much of your time this morning coming all the way to studio. I want to thank you, and while you're heading out, we'll be having the pleasure of listening to Alan Teresiano. Alan Teresiano is an extremely versatile. He's a composer, not first, but he's a pianist first and a composer. You can hear the range. This is a little jazzier piece, but then we have, he's got a classical touch, so and he's sweating. He lent me some of these CDs last night while he's preparing for the performances. So Dean Joseph Lewis of the Claire Trevor Bren School of the Arts, thank you very much for coming to Ask a Leader this morning, and all the best with the terrific lineup for the whole year.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Take care. It's Alan Teresiano's piece. It's called Wonderland, and here we go.
All in the golden afternoon, for leisurely.
That is Alan Teresiano after hearing from the Dean of the School of the Arts. I want to make a few announcements. Irvine residents, we have a lot up for discussion with development proposals moving through the process at lightning-like speed. The city website will offer more information on what's up within and surrounding the Great Park area. That's all the time we have on Ask a Leader. And the producer of Ask a Leader is Claudia Shambaugh. The researcher for the show and the writer is Claudia Shambaugh. The engineer, you guessed it, Claudia Shambaugh. And I'm your host, Claudia Shambaugh. And to let you in on a little secret, all these Claudia's volunteers are at the station there. You can see that I've been doing all the legwork. Now I would like for you to do the finger work and call KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. That's calling KUCI 949-824-5824 or dialing up the internet with the website kuci.org and pledge. Just a brief reprieve. We're going to play a little bit of Mike Desson. He's a trombonist on the School of the Arts faculty. We're going to play on his Between Shadow and Space recording. It's the Mike Desson Trio, and we're going to play Restless Years, and because I think nothing would make more sense than to play that for you with the time we're going to be presenting you a new edition of the George Had Hat. It's Claude Has a Cap. How about that? Until George shows up, we'll let you hear this music that Michael was kind enough to share with us today, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you.